Hi, I'm David Hunwick. I've been doing the residency here at the Chateau Victoria Hotel for the last 2 weeks. It's been a great experience, fantastic venue, great meeting, just people from all over the world come here. And what I've been doing is working on some sculptures whilst I'm here. And I also have a display of some other work that I produced. This piece here that I'm working on is a bust of Robert Burns. He's the famous Scots poet. And I've basically been working from an image I have from Alexander Naismith, who's a portrait painter. That this is apparently is the only known picture of Robert Burns that we know of that we believe is the most authentic one. So what I've set myself the task of doing is just recreating Robert Burns, and at the moment I'm using clay. This is a special type of clay. It's actually an oil-based clay, and as you can see, it's fairly soft. Unlike the water-based clay, this never actually dries because it has an oil mixed in with it. The reason I'm using this is well, it's twofold really. One, because it never dries, I can start the piece, work on it, leave it for months, come back to it, and so on. So it kind of fits with my busy schedule that I have when I'm sculpting many other pieces. The other reason is it's perfect for mold making. So when he's complete, I'm going to create a mold for this piece, and then I'm going to cast him. All of which I do in my own studio, the sculpture studio in Victoria. So it really lends itself to that whole process. And most of my work starts like this. Unfortunately, I don't have any molds here, but maybe another time I could show you some examples of that. So really, he's just a work in progress. I'm not sure how much time I've spent on him, maybe 100 hours, maybe more. And there's probably another 50 hours to go on him, probably. When he's finished, to be cast in bronze. And my hope is that there'll be some Burns fanatics and some true Scots out there that would like to have him preside over the Burns Supper in January. I should maybe show you some of the other work I've got here. This is, in contrast to this piece, this is one of my favorite sculptures. It's much smaller. It's called Poise. It's made of bronze. The inspiration behind this piece is more to do with music, in fact. It's a bit like a musical note. I place a lot of emphasis on line and form with my work, and so it's almost like you have to follow the rhythm of the lines, and it's a bit like the rhythm of music. When you turn this around, again, it's a completely different form, and it's cast in bronze, and I put a green patina on that. I just like the feel of the piece. It's just very subtle. And I like it so that if someone takes the time to look at the piece, they kind of see more. So it's really rewards the viewer if they're prepared to take that extra time to look at it. Here is, I guess it's almost become my signature piece. I'm kind of getting known as the bunny man, a title I'm kind of getting used to living with, I guess. This is the Meadow hare. This was based on an English hare. And when I think about it, the reason I did this was probably a bit of nostalgia. I've been in Canada for 10 years, but when I was a youngster, I used to go bike riding in the Kent countryside, the Garden of England. And every now and again, you'd see a hare popping up its head in the fields. And when I moved to Canada, I guess perhaps I was thinking back to my childhood, and then I just decided it'd be great to make a hare. I've now done 5 different hares. I'm working on 2 new ones. One's actually scratching his ear. The other one is rolling in the hay, and I've got another pair of boxing hares here, and I've got a running hare. So they seem to be multiplying, but I guess that's what hares do. This is another abstract piece. This was based on Shakespeare's Othello, and so what I've got here is a twisted figure, again cast in bronze. What I've tried to capture here is the agony and the pain that he's experiencing, and that kind of inner turmoil. And so, as you see the figure and you turn him, he is kind of distorted, despondent. Again, I kind of really like the abstraction in this figure. I like the fact that when you do abstract, you can play more with themes and narratives, so you're not necessarily a slave to the form. So in this case, the form is again the rhythm and the movement and the lines created, it's really trying to emphasize the emotions of intense trauma that he's feeling. I've got a few other pieces here. This is a bit, I've got a wall plaque here of a frog. This one, the squirrel here represents some new work I've done. I have a good friend of mine that wanted me to make a squirrel, and so I made one and then ended up making three. This one's called Mine, and so he's got his acorn, and like all good squirrels, he's hanging on to it. So we don't know if he's just dug it up from the ground or whether he's about to bury it. But basically, it's his treasure, and he's hanging on to it. So this has just recently been cast, so it's some new work that I've done. My work kind of ranges from abstract expressionist work to, I guess, more figurative pieces like this. Got a few examples of some paintings that I've done. I don't really consider myself a painter, but it's something which I've done and I would like to get back into. So yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. This one is actually based on a father-son from Vietnam. It's called Solace, and I've tried to capture again the emotion in the father-son's eyes there, and he's there protecting his son. But I guess the background to the story is that something's happened. We don't quite know what, but he's just seeking refuge and peace in that situation. We've got some dolphins, zucchini dolphins, which are kind of a Greek influence. Again, I've got some in the traditional kind of antique bronze, and I've got some green bronze pieces here. This piece here in between them is called Warrior. This is, again, a more semi-abstract piece. There's quite a few influences here from Benin sculpture, because I love the Nigerian sculptures that they produced. There's obviously some Asian, Chinese influence, and some Egyptian influence. I love the symmetry in Egyptian work. And there's an element of abstraction, so the head itself is like a crescent shape of a moon. And I wasn't really... I didn't really have a preconceived idea of what this was going to be at the beginning. Again, most of my work starts as an emotion or a feeling. And I think this piece, the clay work, took maybe two hours to make, and then it was molded and cast afterwards. So it was quite a spontaneous piece of sculpture. Again, I love the rhythm, the lines, and the movement in the piece, which is really partly what it's about. These two pink paintings are actually some sketches I did from life quite a while ago, actually. But I like them. I like the spontaneity. I like the movement. I like the color. Very subtle. You know, it's just really pink and white with a little bit of grey where you can still see the graphite of the pencil. Not much I can say about them, but I just like them. Over in this corner I've got a few cat paintings. There's a bit of an animal theme that goes through my work, as well as a figurative theme as well. The piece beside that, this was actually a piece I did for a public commission. I was hoping that this would go up to Parksville. It was second place in the competition there, which sounds nice, but it only ever made it to the maquette stage. What I've tried to do here is show the 4 different elements that represented Parksville at that time. So we've got the wildlife, there's some of the marine life, some of the First Nation influence, and so on. Over here we have 2 more of our little critters. So we've got Prince Charles. You can see the family resemblance there. And I hope the Queen doesn't see this, otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble. Here he is, he's standing, he's almost praying or just waiting for something. So he's got that sense of expectation, maybe a sense of entitlement, perhaps, you know. But there he is, he's just waiting. I have another one which I'm creating, which is a bit more not flimsy, what's the word? Whimsical, looking, where I'm going to give him a nice top hat and cane, just to complete the the scenario there. And then this one here, this little guy, I called Rusty. He was actually named by somebody that I met on Moss Street, and it was actually a child, I think she was 5 or 6 years old, and she had a pet squirrel called Rusty, so we decided that we'd give him the name Rusty. And this guy was pretty tricky creating. Took me a long time to be satisfied with him, and here he is protecting his acorns. So he's a squirrel with attitude. And lastly over here I've got a couple of cat sculptures. This one's called Please. I always find it difficult to find good titles for sculptures, and it was actually my eldest son came up with this one. So I have to give Jonathan the credit for that. So again, we've got a cat that's waiting in expectation. And there's again a bit of Egyptian influence here with the symmetry of the piece. Whenever I go to London, I visit the British Museum. I love to look at the exhibits there. And so there's definitely some Egyptian influence here. And my other cat sculpture in the corner there is called Lazy Day, and he's just hanging around doing nothing, which cats often enjoy doing. So that's basically a range of my pieces here. I actually have a studio called the Sculpture Studio, and we do a range of exhibitions there. It's based just over the Blue Bridge, the Johnston Bridge, and this coming Friday, in fact, we're doing our transformation show. I don't know if you can see the flyer here, but we've got this nice orange flyer. There's some examples of work on the front here, and also the back. Basically, this exhibition is representing some of the work from the sculptors of the Sculptors Guild on Vancouver Island. And we're going to be doing live demonstrations, wood carving, stone carving, mould making, clay sculpting. And the opening's from 6 to 8 this Friday, and then it runs for 2 consecutive weekends. So really, really excited about this. Also at the Sculpture Studio, we're doing a whole range of other exhibitions. We've got some neat ones in November. We're going to be turning our studio into like a dining room and have some medieval kind of banquet type thing going on. There's going to be a print show going on, and also the Imagist show going on, which represents some of the, I think, some of the cutting edge artists on the island. So really exciting place. So if you would like to find out more about it, you can visit the website, which is just www.thesculpturestudio.net. Or my Facebook page.